Hey guys, it's Will. Hopefully you're having a great day today. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I balance all of my portfolios and how I invest. I don't know if it's going to be super helpful for everyone, but if you are an investor, an entrepreneur, or you have a business, this will probably be very helpful for you. And this is really what's worked in my experience growing to a company valued over $5 million and having the ability to travel the world and build our portfolio up significantly, kind of what it takes to do that. I'm going to share with you guys how we've done it. And I'm just going to share with you exactly kind of how we manage all of our money. So I just finished recording, and honestly, one thing that happened is while I was writing out the different buckets of what you have, honestly, it didn't really work on the screen recording. So you're not missing anything. Don't worry about it. But if you want to screenshot what it looks like, that's how I move all my money around. And guess what? You get it at the beginning of the video. So you don't have to watch the whole video. But if you want the dynamic approaches that we have, the valuable approach that I've found that's allowed us to grow our portfolios, then tune on in because I'm going to explain each one of these. So the first thing you would want to do is probably have some diversification. There's a few buckets and we can kind of break down each bucket. We definitely have stocks, then we have business, okay, and then we have real estate, and we have crypto. And each one broken down kind of actually covers almost everything that we do. The only one that I do have some investment in that isn't mentioned is probably mineral. But these are kind of the five. Now, I focused on five. Sometimes it could be more than this, but I focused on five because of something shared with me from Ray Dalio, who is one of the most successful hedge fund managers in the world. And he had broken down some massive studies and models for how they're able to generate such good returns for their clients. And one of the keys was that they diversified in uncorrelated assets. Now, there's some correlation here between these different assets, but for the most part, they're fairly independent. And it also kind of depends what types, how we break this down. But I'm just going to show you kind of step by step how I do it. And I really enjoy, personally, stocks. First thing for stocks, I invest in infrastructure for AI. Okay, so probably about 40% to 50% of my investments are in AI. And then that can be broken down into data centers. So data center stocks, semiconductors, tech software, so software, and like large language model companies. The next step of investments that I like to get into here is going to be, and that's probably, like I said, about 40 to 50%. It's about 50%. The other side of this is going to be the robotics. So robotics, we invest about, that's going to be like delivery, warehouse, and infrastructure, and that's going to be about 20%. The last one really is going to be, I mean, there's two others, but the other main one is going to be kind of like space tech. That's probably going to be about 10%, probably 15%. And then the last one is quantum companies, and I invest about 15% there. Now I have some holdings like long-term, a little bit of S&P, not very much. But I'm fairly up in the markets as far as my like how I'm on it. Like I'm pretty on it, so I invest in individual stocks and I've had more success than had I been investing in the S&P 500. So again, I follow these markets primarily, and they're kind of broken down. They could be broken down further. And stocks make up about 10% to 20% of my wealth. I also put, I'm just going to move straight to crypto here. Crypto is going to be about another 20% of my wealth. Probably, yeah, about 20%. And crypto, I invest in main infrastructure. So we're talking Bitcoin. Um, that's about 65%. And then I have about uh, in scalable tokens. So things like Solana and what is called TON token by Telegram. I have another about 30% or 25%. The other ones that I'll invest in are like higher risk plays that could be potentially really good. One is like infrastructure, tokenized stocks, potential. Seen Robinhood working with them, ARB token. Um, there's a token called Nosana that is an interesting tech play. There's a bunch of all smaller, like these smaller cap cryptos, and that's going to make up the remaining 10%. So 20% stocks, 20% crypto. I would say that we have probably about 10% goes into real estate. We have some apartment units. We have 2 that we've remodeled this year. The wholesale game. So I've done some wholesales. I don't have a ton of real estate, but I've done some wholesales. Well, I will send out mail to towns and people that would most likely be motivated sellers. And then they go ahead and they, send me a message back and they say, yeah, I do. I would like to sell my house. And then I get an offer that's below market. They agree. And then I market the deal and then sell it for profit, essentially. So we have done some wholesales. Apartments, we, remodel and then fix up and then sell or rent out, excuse me. Haven't done any full on buy and sell flips just yet, but I'm sure we'll be doing that. So real estate, I don't do like REITs. I just like put the money in real estate. You can buy like different funds, but that's not how we do it. Very simple. Again, probably about 10% of our income has been allocated into real estate and a little bit more blood and sweat. Then we got 10%, probably less actually, about 5% in minerals. So that's going to be gold, some physical silver, and copper. These are good plays. I could probably invest in uranium and some others, lithium, ion battery type materials, but I think that would be a good play. But copper, silver, and gold, yeah, we do have some holds there. I just think it's good diversification, and I like that play. A lot of semiconductors, actually, which is kind of related to data centers as well, source from a lot of minerals. So if not the actual, value from it being an alternative asset class that people buy, it's also, a actual usage for technology. And so I like that mineral side, and the same thing is with crypto. Like, did you know that like Bitcoin recently surpassed silver in market cap? Kind of crazy, right? I think it might even be coming up on gold here. And so at some point, I would imagine, Bitcoin will surpass gold in market cap. And so I just allocate again about 4 times more into the crypto than I do in minerals. I'm sure that if crypto didn't exist, we'd have more in minerals. And then finally, business. So this one is actually going to be, more, we're looking at about 45% in business. And so there's a couple things we do in business. The first is definitely going to be the overall company that we have going with it, which is Mercatus. Okay, so Mercatus specializes in consulting. So I work with investors, I work with business owners, I work with traders, I work with other partners, and essentially we have consulting, and that's something I invest in a good amount. In investing in our team. So I have 5 employees, or about 7 employees actually, including my wife and I. but I guess we do pay ourselves. So 7 team members, and so we'll invest in those team members. For example, like the editors for our videos. So editors, so that's kind of media. And Mercatus, though, is a software company. So we have software. We have 2 software developers and 1 hardware developer. The hardware developer is specialized in things like we have an investing software that allows you to use the best AI models in the world. So we spend a lot of money investing in the infrastructure. We're even building, like we use all the AI models, which cost money, but then we also do things like hardware for investors to access the software. So we're working on things like fingerprint scanning modules and things like that. And so that is kind of the overview. And then we also have our business, which is aside from Mercatus, which we also have some investors that we work with on the company. We also have Stockmate. And then Stockmate, I invest in somebody, like we spend a lot of money, for example, on sending out products. We send out apparel, but we send out, we also have employees, like admin employees. There's admin employees. So we do calling and making sure everybody's finding our product okay. We do product development, so making the product better. We don't run ads right now, but we're definitely looking at ads. And so some of these things, like when I say 45%, like haven't really been spent, but that we're holding it in an account, kind of like allocating it, getting ready for us to spend. We just kind of started this full business. I've always put money into my own businesses. Back when I used to struggle a ton in business and not really understand business, say 5 years ago, I would still be like doing things like buying ads, and I would be investing in all these new software. So that's another one, software. We spend a lot on software. We spend a lot on consulting from other people. Like I buy courses a ton. I think you've probably, like, people say, Will, do you have a software company and you have educational materials and things like that? What do you think about that business? Literally where I'm at and what I've learned, so much has come from learning from consulting. Is there some bad stuff? Yeah, of course. But 90% of it, like if I'm ever in a struggle for something, I invest into consulting. And the reason I do that is like business is kind of like investing in yourself. So like I could count books here, I could count education. The most amount of money I invest has always been kind of in myself. So I call it business, but that's what it is. So those are the 5 main asset classes I invest in. And I like to separate my wealth into these buckets because I think that they have the highest return for individuals. And the most important thing that I've found in investing and managing your portfolio is you want to invest in the things that have the best impact on the world. So like you'll notice like minerals, we don't invest that much. Crypto, we invest a little more because that's actually democratizing the financial system. It's making it not be having manipulation from currencies or different governments printing currencies. That's actually really valuable to society potentially. So I see it as a value. And then like if you look at stocks, we invest more in stocks. Those companies are bringing a lot of value to the world, and we invest in those companies and help them bring more value. And we also trade them, so we're able to, capitalize on that value. And then same thing with real estate. Like real estate is a service for people. You'll notice none of these, or at least the ones that have the least allocation, are things that don't have as much impact or value to others. And the things that you invest in the most are the things that have the biggest impact on others. And so like, for example, like investing in your own business, I found like that's one of the best ways to have impact on others if your business is doing good for others. So that's kind of like how, like ultimately there's things like, return on investments. You're looking at, the trends. You're probably looking at the, are you getting good deals on things? Of course. But ultimately, like the greatest measurement of value uh, you've probably heard this saying, like, it's the people, stupid. Like, it's the people. I've found that to be true in business. Like, it's the people. So I'll invest the most into like people that help our company, and then also like investing in myself to help other people. And so that's been the best investments that I've had. That's why I allocate so much into business. I know some people might watch and say like, well, you cover a lot of companies. There is also, when I say business, we also do make some private company investments. So that's also part of the consulting slash business development. Um, and that's also kind of a contribution to the world. So we also give, like, that's just our investments. I can break down all of our accounts and how we do things. Like, we have money for play, we have money for giving, simply to give, we have money for long term or assets or expenses. So, we have a whole way of organizing our money, Tammy and I, Tammy, my wife. And when we first started doing that, it took a lot of stress out of things. Same thing with investing. When you kind of organize, you know where all your money's going. It takes a lot of stress out of, worrying about managing it all. Just kind of look at all the percentages and roughly try and keep it even. And usually that's the best way to go. If you guys ever would like to learn more about these things, you can always check out Stockmate. We go live every single morning, Monday through Friday, for about 30 minutes to an hour in Stockmate. We also trade live and invest if we're trading short term sometimes. You can see our entries, see our exits, get surrounded with other like-minded individuals, and get a free t-shirt. I'll send it to you anywhere in the world. That's the second link below. If you'd like to learn more about how to use AI to invest, because we use AI for evaluating almost every investment I just showed you here, then the first link in the description will give you some more access on that. Appreciate you all. I hope that you have a great rest of your day. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.